Good morning, everybody. New message came up on the screen, so I'm like staring at the screen as I'm coming live. That's great. Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. I don't like holidays like today, only because we're forced to do something on a specific day, and I think we should be doing what is required on Valentine's Day every day, and that's just loving up on our loved ones, the ones closest to us, and making it a point to do things every day versus just once a year. I want you guys to get in the chat and share with me where you're joining me from, your praises, your prayer requests, your successes, and your struggles. It's a lot, but I would love for you to get on there. I am trying to access this on my iPad so I can see you guys in the chat. There we go. All right. So I really wanted to touch on this subject. Today's subject is how not to be affected by the chaos that we are experiencing. There's a lot going on. There's always going to be stuff going on. There is an ebb and flow in our life of ups and downs. Oftentimes a lot more downs than there are ups. It just depends on your perspective and how you handle those situations. But there's a lot going on. And my family and I, good afternoon, Miss Tammy. My family and I learned a lot during the crud. We learned that what we've been trying to accomplish here was a success, and that when stuff happens, we are in a good place. That our preparations and our thought process, our critical thinking, our just everything we put in place, it all had thought, it all had purpose, and it served us well. So I wanted to talk about that today because I feel it's so important, because I know that when the crud happened, so many people were unprepared. And since then, they've become prepared, but it's real easy to get complacent. It's real easy to stay in a place of fear, and it's real easy to just disengage. And I don't want to see you guys doing that. So I want to give you some thoughtful suggestions on how you can go about things and remain unaffected. The key thing is not to be in a fearful place. Fear is debilitating, and that's the purpose behind fear. That is the enemy coming in full force. And he wants us in a place of fear. If you read the Bible, God makes it very clear that he wants us to be fearless. He wants us to have hope. He wants us to have trust in him. And he wants us to keep moving forward and be in a joyful, happy place. And many people are like, well, how can you possibly do that when everything's falling apart around you? Focus plays a big deal, but also our preparations prior to play a big deal in that as well. So one of the things that we did, this was just our mentality. We are different ducks. We are peculiar people. We are okay with that and perfectly fine and proud of that, because we don't follow the herds. When we embarked on our journey 13 years ago to live off grid, when it wasn't glamorous or even really thought of, and we lived in a tent for 8.5 months, people were betting against us. We are peculiar, and we love our life. And back 13 years ago already, we were trying to live a life that was severing our ties from the outside world as much as possible. And I've been criticized a lot over the years that we don't live an off-grid life because I have internet. Yes, I have internet, but I'm not powering it in a traditional way. Oftentimes it can be a struggle. But this is our livelihood. This is my means of communicating my message. So yes, I do have internet. I do not have cable. I do not have TV. I have not had TV for 16, 17 years. I do not miss it, not even a little. And that would be the first thing I encourage you guys to disengage from. Get rid of it. In saying that, I also want you to keep in mind that I don't want you living out of a headspace of scarcity. If you were to get rid of your TV today because those funds could be used elsewhere, that's exactly how I want you to think. I don't want you to release that bill and think that it's because you can't afford it. And maybe that is the case, but I want you thinking in the means that when you let that go, you'll have room for something else. And seriously, that was one of the best things we've ever done. You know, we can choose what we seek out as far as news and media and information, and we can go after the solid sources. We all know that media is jaded, and they try to keep us in a place of fear. And I think it is really important that we focus on the things that are going to empower us and help us, not the things that are going to keep us in a fearful and needy place. So if you get rid of your TV, which I highly encourage, is to replace that with what you need, whether it's clothing, food, ammo, you know, whatever it is. I want to encourage that. I want to encourage you guys to think about the things that are really not serving you in your day to day. You know, if you feel that you are not stocked up well enough, think about the things you can let go. I just saw Miss Diana jump on here, and I'm going to share something else. We're going to head down a little rabbit hole. The other thing is look around your house. How much stuff do you have that you don't need? Get on eBay. Have a yard sale this spring. Find a consignment shop that'll take your stuff. Get on your Facebook yard sale page and start listing the things that are no longer serving you, that you don't need, that are not serving a purpose. And I promise you that money will provide so much more of your needs and support your needs than anything. And the reason I say that is because if you are struggling with that kind of stuff and then you want to try to organize, I'm going to give you a really good investment. Go to TrayerWildernessAcademy.com and sign up for our independent course on organization by our very own Diana. And it's a very inexpensive course, the cost of a cup of coffee, and it will give you the pointers and the tips you need to get your house in order and also unload the things you don't need and that aren't serving you. Honestly, guys, I've been doing that for years. When my kids were little, I would sell the things they've outgrown and the toys that they don't play with. They sit and play with a cardboard box. You know, all that, and the things that you got 4 of because you have such loving family, which is amazing, and friends. But when they outgrow them and you've got 4 of them, it's, you know, a great way to declutter the house, put some money back in your pocket to put food on the table. So there's so many ways that we can embrace our future and the uncertainties and have peace. And at the same time, give ourselves additional peace in our own homes. Clutter is consuming. I see so many of you guys on here. This is awesome. Miss Janie's on here. She says, hola. Hello, hello. I'm so excited. All right, so we've got, good morning, Miss Sheena Belts. We've got Miss Diana and Shelly Toyka. Miss Sheena, where are you joining us from? Shelly says, I've been getting rid of things. Most are either garbage or so used they should not be sold. I've been just giving stuff to the local thrift shop as I do not want to have it take up space. That works too. You know, the more you free your space, the more freedom you have, I promise you. I live in a 12-foot by 16-foot home. I have to be very conscious of what I have in here, how I have it laid out. And I'll tell you what, I've never been more satisfied and just feel more comforted in my own space than I do here. We think we need to have bigger and better. That is the mentality of the world today, is to keep up with the Joneses. Well, let me tell you, the Joneses are broke, they're unhappy, and they're not who you want to be following. And for starters, we are not herds. We do not need to follow. And that's this message I want to give you today. Create a peace and a comfort and an environment and a life of your own away from society. Now, my husband and I are introverted extroverts. We are the ones who are like, yeah, we'll be to your party. And then the day of the party, we're both hiding in a corner rocking because we don't want to go. We love people, but it's not our thing to be going out to eat, going out to be in crowds. Right here is where it's at. It's always been that way for us, and that's what we were seeking. You may be different. You may need that connection with people. There is nothing wrong with that. However, create that differently. Stop chasing it and bring it home. Invite your friends over. Have a potluck. Whatever you need to do, but if you hone in your need to find joy outside of your home, and you bring that joy to your home, you will be spending less. I promise you. You won't be going out to eat as often. You won't be spending $10 on a coffee. You'll be perking it in your own kitchen and enjoying that cup of coffee with friends. I like that so much more. Everybody's different, but I will tell you this. When you start your thinking, to process your thinking that way on how you can save money, I guarantee you that is going to be one of the biggest ways you can save money, and start using that money towards the things you need. So many comments. I love it. Toika says, nice to be here, Diana. Good. Yes, I'm glad you are here, and I hope you're feeling better. Miss Jane says, when we sold, gave and donated and gifted, it felt so good, and I vow to not collect again. Yes, and I have to say, I'm very blessed. And Jane's gifts keep on giving. Jane blessed us greatly and the Mountain Man greatly. Her husband gifted Glenn with some things, and my fabricator and MacGyver has been making all kinds of things. So, but yes, it is such a good feeling to unload, to gift, to put some money back in your pocket, and it is so freeing, right, Jane? It is just like such a load off to have less. People don't understand that. But there is just such a wonderful thing about owning less, because when you own less, your focus is on, for me, I look out my front window. It's snowing today. It's beautiful. Every day I look out that front window and I realize how blessed I am. And it's by the simple things in my life, not the stuff. Shelley says, when I stopped helping my neighbor, I stopped getting those useless gifts. Some were okay, but most I have never used. Shelley says, Jane, I am right behind you trying to do the same thing, but not moving. Yeah, and there's no reason why we can't do that where we're at. So we are hoarders. We've been taught to hoard. And I will say this, we hoard certain things. We hoard our necessities. I've got a lot of clothing that I haven't gotten rid of because I can repurpose those into other articles of clothing, patch clothing. We have our food and our water. We have the scrapyard, and I have miscellaneous things, crafting things, like sewing things and yarn and things like that, because I know that moving forward I can make us things from those items. The scrapyard, I will never ever complain, even if it looks like Sanford and Son. He keeps it very organized though, but I will never complain. That man is amazing. There is nothing that's ever thrown away and wasted. It's either repaired or repurposed, always. It's so incredible. So he's the one that can make the pistol out of the paperclip. And if you have talents like that, use them. It's so amazing. If you don't, you can learn. And the thing is, I want you to be critical thinkers, and I want you to be fixers. I want you guys to learn, if you have something that's worthy of being thrown away and you want to learn how to become a MacGyver, take it apart and see if you can figure out what's broken on it. You know, it's just a matter of diving in and learning and getting and being confident enough to try that. The mountain boy has pulled things from the dump already, and actually they still worked. People just threw them away because something was cracked, or we got a power washer, a very expensive power washer that way. The hose had a split in it, so the mountain man replaced the, not the hose, but the power cord. So he replaced it, and that's all there was wrong with it. So, but find stuff like that. Take it apart. See if you can figure out what's wrong with it. Tinker with it. Try to repair things. If you don't know how to weld, learn how to, learn from somebody. Play around. Dive in. Even I do that. I'm certainly not anywhere close to the mountain man, but I do like diving in. I do like trying. I do like making an effort. So we've got to try those things. So I want to go down a little bit of a list here that I have. Woo! Almost sent the iPad a-flying. Jane says, Shelley, it was a strange feeling to leave the country with 9 suitcases saying this is all we own now. Oh my goodness. I just think that, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. Shelley says, I'm in the process of sewing the Christmas Afghan I made for daughter-in-law for her birthday this year. She wanted a Christmas Afghan, so she's getting one. Awesome. Diana says, a project I have on my list is cleaning and re-wicking the oil lamps we have. Yep. And that's an important one. You'll save yourselves a lot of money. Okay, my app is not opening properly here. I'm trying to open my notes for today. There we go. Let's see if I can get it to cooperate. Here we go. But there's a lot of things you can do. And during the crud, we were totally unaffected. What I want you guys to focus on is pulling away from society and being part of the herd. I want you to be able to have everything you need, and you will find that as you lessen your need from society, that you need less. What you will find is the things that you still need may be the very things that you will have to go without later. One of the things that comes to mind right off the bat is gasoline. When we were on lockdown, you couldn't go get gasoline. You couldn't go, there was a time you couldn't go get the things you needed, right? Well, our mentality has always been to have the tools readily available to ourselves, that if we couldn't get gasoline, we could keep going. And we had them all. So I know that for some of you, that's a really huge leap. So what you need to do is just start small. Unload the cable, unload the extra purchasing of coffees, unload going out to eat, unload going to different events. When you unload the TV, what do you do with your time? Everybody's like, oh my gosh, what will we do? Sit and play games together, read a book, put a puzzle together, start doing crafts. I am so excited. Our next course for March will be making your own footwear. I found this week that I'm going to have to turn my directions that way moving forward, because I put on a brand new pair of boots this week, Friday, and it took me down for 4 days because they use some sort of a chemical in manufacturing them, and I can't even wear them. So I'm excited to start running around like Pocahontas, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do the same. Being able to do things for ourselves is important, but remove your need from society as much as you can. I really think that is such an important aspect of things, because things may get better, but until they do, being able to take care of ourselves and our families, and when things go sideways, that we don't feel that huge and tremendous amount of fear because we can't survive without it. We can. We are resilient people. We are smart people. We are problem solvers and thinkers if we start doing that again. So often we just become dependent and we stop that process. We need to go back there, and we need to really think about situations, come up with solutions. Many of you are surfing the chicken and the egg situation that we are experiencing in our country. And again, that doesn't mean get rid of your chickens. That doesn't mean that you're sunk. That means you need to think about it and find another solution. Okay, I see lots of comments, so let me see. And I saw Mr. Keith is in the house. Welcome, Mr. Keith. Mr. Keith is joining us from New Zealand. He says, just been missed by Cyclone Gabriella, the worst storm here in 100 years. Wow. Some have had 3 feet of rain with massive flooding north of here. Wow, wow. So glad you're untouched, and I'm so glad that you are safe, and I'm glad you're here. Sending prayers your way and for everybody over there. There's been a lot going on. There was also the earthquake as well. Well, glad you're here, Keith, and glad you're safe. Shelly says, I bought new wicks for all my lamps and more oil, just a preparedness project I had. It's absolutely what we need to do. You know, if you don't have light, how are you going to see? So think about those things. Shelly says, I will share a picture when it's done in the Bible study group or Slack. Okay, for your Afghan. Awesome. Jane says, Shelly, I would love to see it. I brought my sewing machine. Oh, awesome. You know, girl, I thought about that. I wondered if you were quilting and doing your things. Keith says, hi, all. Just about the only place in the North Island without power cuts and flooding. Praise God for that. Praise God for that. Shelly says, I made window coverings that look like stained glass when the light comes through. It is a west-facing window. Yes, I get to see those when we do breath work on Fridays. They're very pretty. Speaking of which, I'm gonna squirrel for a second. For those of you that are new to joining me here, I also offer breath work. The first question is, what is that, and why do I need to breathe? I'm already breathing. Well, you're not breathing right, and I will guide you for an hour in very deep breathing. You will be totally renewed on the other side, and I will teach you a skill and how to use your God-given breath during that time. It is absolutely amazing. You're typically holding your breath about 80% of the time, and you're probably in a fight and flight mode most of the time. So this is very renewing, very healing, and it is a homestead preparedness and life-saving skill. So I mention this because every quarter I do free sessions, and I'm trying to reach people here in the States as well as over the pond. So I have multiple free sessions, and they are in February. I have 2 this Saturday, the 18th, one at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and one at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I have another free one again on the 20th. And that is Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I do group breathwork sessions every Friday from now on, moving forward, starting on the 24th. There will be one at 10 a.m. and one at 3 p.m. And they are very inexpensive because I am trying to teach people how to heal themselves from trauma, autoimmune issues, PTSD, depression. It's possible. Our bodies are healing machines. And so I want you guys to join me. These are free. Come check it out. Come experience it. At least say you've done it. But I really want to try to reach the masses this year and help people heal. So you can go to breathetohealing.com/group session. You will find the link below in the description. But join me. It's very life-giving. Diana says the breathwork sessions are great. And Jane says, Diana, I agree. Thank you guys. So I do have to watch my time. I have another meeting this morning, but we have time yet. So I just want to go over a little bit of my notes. What are things you guys struggle with in keeping stock of, or severing your ties with, or parting with? What are your things you guys hang on to? But really, through the crud, our family was so unaffected. Like they're never felt we never felt the tension or the fear or the stresses of the situation because our day to day was no different than it has been for 13 years. And us being locked down was nothing out of the ordinary because we don't go anywhere unless we absolutely have to. I know that sounds weird, but when you bring your focus to your home and your goodness to your home, you will understand why we feel that way. There's just really no need for us to go anywhere other than to go out for a ride on my motorcycle. That's like the only reason I ever want to leave here. So, and thank you, Jane. So how far and how deep you can take this is going to depend on where you're located and how you currently live. But wherever you are, you can take steps to disengage and disconnect. We have our own water source here. On our previous homestead, we had a well. Right now, we are gathering water from a friend till we get our well in here. But water would be an issue if that wasn't accessible. However, there are springs and water otherwise. So it just would mean work. We don't have a connection to the grid. We are off grid with solar power. So power goes down, we are unaffected. We still have access. We still have things. Our stuff still works. You know, we compost, so I don't have sewer. You know, so these are some of the things that you guys will probably not be able to disconnect from, but I've just given you options. Of course, in the city, in an apartment, those things may not be accessible or allowed, but those are things that you can think about if it is available to you. But like I said, there will be certain things that you will not be able to disconnect from, and if there were ever to be a problem in our future, those will likely be the things that you will not be able to have access to. So it's really important to ponder that. You know, like for us, gasoline was that thing. Well, we have hand saws, we have um, hand crank equipment in our kitchen, in our home. You know, the washing machine wouldn't be an option anymore, so we have a bucket and a plunger. You know, those are the things you gotta process and come up with a means of a replacement for those critical things that you definitely would need in your life. Okay, but cancel your TV subscriptions. Cancel all the things that you don't really need. We are so often spending money on things that we really don't need. If you're really in a situation where you're really feeling the heaviness of needing to stock up on things, which I highly recommend, those are the ways to do it. You know, TV subscriptions, Hulu, all those crazy things. And I'll be honest, we have Prime. I use Prime or Netflix. The Mountain Boy has Netflix, and actually that's free because of our cell phones. So, you know, get rid of the things that are most costly to you that you don't need. Prime I have because I ship a lot to here. As much as I hate to use Amazon, I'm 2 hours away from major things. I do use other companies though, but as a benefit, I can watch movies from time to time. But get rid of the magazine subscriptions that you stock up and pile up and you're not actually reading. You know, these are the things that you can do to save yourself money. Stop dining out. Getting coffee. Start making coffee at home. Start snacking at home, having wholesome meals. If you're not used to cooking, get an Instapot or a slow cooker. They're a great way to be able to have wholesome meals and to save yourself a lot of money. If you want fresh produce and you've never gardened, start small. Do something. If you like tomatoes but you don't like any other vegetables, grow your own tomatoes. Keep stepping further into it. The thing is to just keep consciously being aware of what you can unload and how you can disconnect from all the things the world deems as necessities and the things that keep us attached. Be a problem solver. Be a critical thinker. And budgeting, budgeting is really important. If you sit down and budget, our class for February in our membership is a budgeting class to help teach you how to, honestly, guys, when you really focus on it, you can accomplish so much. And you can, start having a plan for your greenhouse, your garden, your seeds, and just slowly keep putting funds in envelopes, in accounts, and having it accessible for those needs, and be able to reach your goals so much faster than you think is possible. Also, um, having an emergency fund is really important. The question today is, do we save or do we put it towards what we need? It's a good question, and only you can decide that. I think having an emergency fund is important. I think having money out of the bank and in your hands is important. I think using the right banks is important. They are all trying to gain access to way more information than they need to have. We switched and started banking with the Christian Community um, Credit Union, and about 2 years ago, and absolutely love them. They actually called to check on how we're doing. They called and reached out to us on our anniversary with them. They are, I really like them a lot. I can't say enough about them. And their accounts are no fee accounts. We've been raped over and over again by the local banks and by banks over the years, with our businesses and personal. I hate that. Our money needs to stay in our pocket as long as possible. If you're interested in checking them out, you can go to trayerwilderness.com/CCCU. And also, um, keeping your money in the bank, having a solid bank, but also keeping money in your pocket is extremely important right now. And knowing that the bank is not infringing on your rights and creeping into way too much, that's one of the things I like about them a lot. The thing is, they're in California. You can sign up with them wherever you are and work with them through your local credit union. So works out really well. So just wanted to share that. Let me get out of here. And I saw some stuff going on here. Ellie says, I'm totally connected to the grid, but all my camping gear is my emergency supplies for when the power goes out. Exactly. Thank you, Miss Toyka. She says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Jane says, we installed a 500-gallon water storage unit. Generator is next on the list. We live 15 minutes outside of a small town, and we are loving being at home. No car, so it's a walk into town if we need. Isn't that awesome? It just feels so good. That was something we heavily did when we first got here. People thought we were nuts. We were walking 5 miles to the post office. Not because we had to, because we wanted to. And we still do those things. But it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding having everything. It's also very comforting having the things you need on hand. This is something else I want to remind you to do. Start paying attention to your usage. Many of you are on city water and sewer. Okay, so start being frugal. You will save money, and it's also going to prepare you for when and if you have to use less. So when it's yellow, let it mellow. When it's brown, flush it down. That's a great rule of thumb. The other thing is, pay attention to how much water you use. So many people stand there in the morning in a total zombie state, brushing their teeth with the water running while they're brushing their teeth. Do you know how many gallons of water is wasted just brushing your teeth and flushing your toilet unnecessarily? And people do dishes, and they just they'll have the water running and walk across the kitchen to get something, and then take their time getting back. To me, that would wrench my heart. Water is precious, especially when you got to haul it in and you got to conserve. I don't have to conserve, but I want to conserve. And I enjoy the work. I enjoy the process of it. It gives me the security of knowing that I'm not attached to anything. But when you start using your things more conservatively, you will start to see a huge savings, not just in water and that, but also like when you're making your coffee and you put a half a gallon of creamer in it. And yes, there are those things that give us great pleasure. Don't get me wrong. But just be mindful of your usage of things. And I guarantee you will start saving so much money. The same with shampoo and conditioner. A lot of people, like fill their mitts with the shampoo and conditioner when really you don't need that much. Soap is one of those other things that's heavily wasted. Just pay attention to your waste because that can save you so much. The link for the credit union, Diana, is trayerwilderness.com/CCCU. Christian Community Credit Union. Yeah. So that is a big one. I love them. I love them. And to talk to somebody, they're so genuine, so nice. It's really a good establishment. And like I said, their accounts are fee free, and you collect interest on your accounts. It's very minimal, but it's still an extra penny here and there, and every penny counts. So Shelley says, a few years ago we had a windstorm that put the power out for 5 days for some. If you needed anything, you needed cash, as the bank machines did not work for all that time. Right. So it's important to have funding in your hands, and not keeping everything in the establishment. However, with the way things are today, there's a lot of reasons you need to in making your varying payments and so forth. But I definitely, I'm one of those that you shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. I do have other bank accounts, but you know what? I'm going to soon drop them all. I'm getting fees out the wazoo. It's ridiculous. And there goes my hard-earned money, every month. And I'm, so keep some under your mattress, buried in the backyard. Our ancestors knew how to handle it. We can figure it out. Be a thinker, be a critical thinker. But anyway, don't keep all your eggs in one basket, but that is one of the establishments I would recommend. Jane says, we also put a small gas 2-burner stove outside in case we lose electric. Exactly. And I want to recommend a rocket stove as well. So rocket stoves are really nice in the event that propane were something to run out. You got to think about that too. And Jane, we have them too. We have the burners. I have a really cool unit that I can't wait to share in spring with you guys that will take over my wood cook stove when it gets too warm and will be part of my outdoor kitchen. But I also have the 2-burner stove that I use to do my canning outside. 12 by 16 gets hot really fast, and canning happens in the summer month. Well, it happens all year long, but summer months it's way too hot. But consider the fact that you may not have propane. That's another resource that we could lose. So having a rocket stove is really good because it uses very little fuel to produce the heat, but it also doesn't smoke. So it's another way to keep yourself concealed and also be able to cook your meals, heat your water. And for places that are like us, we hit a season where it is, and it's likely going to be this year, that we won't have enough moisture, and we have wildfire season. So we can't burn fires outside, but a rocket stove on a gravel area would be something we could contain. So that's another thing to think about. But yes, just continuing to bring your freedom back to your home, being able to exist when everyone else is cut off. Okay. That is really, really, really important. And that is the message I want to get across to you. And stop being part of the herd. Just make your home the place where everything happens and where the freedom and the security is. Okay. Diana says, while waiting for the hot water, we put it in a bucket and use it for the dogs. Yep. Yeah. Conserve it. The dogs, I have a catch bowl for the dogs' water because my big Rhodesian we call her the rain cloud. She'll stand up away from the water dish and it just runs out of her jowls. So it catches it. So in the summertime, I use that to water my plants. In the wintertime, it's pretty slimy, or I would use it in my house plants. But outside, I can use it that way. And also putting it in a bucket to clean our buckets outside. So yes, repurposing is really important. Water, anything like that. Really important. Shelly says, I got Jim a collapsible camp wood burning stove, sort of like a rocket stove. Yeah, we have some of those too. Having all of your gear, knowing where it's at, taking inventory. Here's a suggestion. I don't suggest this if you do not have good control of spending. We went for years and years without a credit card, but we needed the security of a credit card for travel when I went back east to see my dad before he passed away. And there are times where you need to use a credit card and you can't use a debit card. I hate that the world is that way, but here's a benefit to you. Get a card that gives you points, that either gives you dollars back in your account that you can use or spend. I have a Cabela's card. I don't buy Cabela's clothing or frivolous things, but we purchase the necessities, the things that will keep us going. So those points that we are gaining is going back into enabling us to stockpile the things we need that they sell. Being able to get expensive rain gear that we know will not fall apart and get holes in it right away. Getting any of those things. So when you're talking about your camping equipment, Shelly, that's a perfect thing to have ready for power outages in our future. And being able to stock up on those from our own spending, I put my bills on that card so that those points, and then I pay it off every month. And that way those points are continuing to incur, and that way I can use it to purchase the things I need. So like I said, we went years and years and years and years without them and did not miss them. But that is definitely a plus and a way to use them constructively. So this is my message today. Sell what you don't need, put money back in your pocket. Sever the bills and the frivolous things that you might be spending on right now that really aren't a necessity, because I promise you, you get rid of TV and you start doing more wholesome things, you're going to find a joy and a happiness in your life that you haven't had. Spending time with my family, playing games, putting puzzles together, talking, for gosh sakes. Bringing that all back home, getting off the devices at night and just spending time together. That's something we've done for 13 years plus. And it is so rewarding. There's so many good memories from times past of just sitting and having deep conversations, watching a movie, putting a puzzle together, playing games. So you get the idea. And just keep pulling yourself in and being able to do everything you need to do within your four walls. So I am going to jump off of here so I can get ready for my next class. I'm actually, if you guys are not aware, we've opened up the membership doors. They are open. Our fees are very inexpensive. We want people to learn traditional skills, how to be able to homestead, live off grid, be prepared for anything that is going to come their way. And there are 11, 12 courses available to you right now. Each month there's a new course being added, plus some. And I'm going to go live with my membership now and nurture them, make sure they are good, check in to see if they have any questions. So you can join that by going to TrayerWilderness.com/membership. If you don't want to spend money, but you need fellowship and connect and community, you can go to our free community, TrayerWilderness.com/community. We have many resources for you. We are trying to reach the masses in every way possible. So please join us. I'm going to say a prayer and get you guys back to your day. Papa, I just thank you so much for this group of people. I thank you for our community, our membership. And I just thank you for how you're moving and what you're doing, how you're guiding, how you're directing, how you're putting things on people's hearts, how you're nurturing. Thank you for keeping Keith safe and just continue to nurture all of those that are struggling over there with this, with the weather, the tornadoes, the hurricanes, the earthquakes, the war. Just touch everybody, give them peace, comfort them, wrap your arms around them. Just thank you for this community. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for your presence always. We don't have to invite you in. You are here. We love you. We praise you for that. We thank you. Just help each and every one watching and watching the replay to learn how to find comfort and peace in you, in their surroundings, in their family, in the simplicity, in doing without so that they can gain in other ways. And just guide and direct them, help them. And just thank you for loving us. Thank you for all you're going to do. And thank you for being bigger than any of our trials, our struggles, and what's going on in the world. We know that you are working a million times over in the background of everything we see. And we thank you and praise you for that. Just keep everyone safe till we gather again. And we love you, praise you, and thank you for all you do. And ask all of this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. And guys, sadly, I did not mention this, but this is a first and foremost priority. Make sure you are putting God first in your life. Make sure you are seeking Him. Make sure you are tithing first and foremost, and that you are supporting your community, those that are struggling, those around you, and continue to just keep Him first. When He is first, there is such a great peace. You will live in a fearless state, and having faith and trust in Him is an extremely powerful place to be. I couldn't live any other way. So guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you on the 4th Tuesday of the month. Join me in my community. Join me in my membership. Reach out. We love you all, and keep striving forward. Keep severing your ties, and there's no need to be part of the herd. You've got community right there in your four walls. Nurture it, love on it, and make it golden. Love you guys. Have a great day. God bless.